Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you had a great weekend, and welcome back to this new week in which we'll talk about the crypto market. And so far, so good. Bitcoin actually looks relatively strong, but that was also the case this morning. But obviously, it kind of feels like I missed some news potentially, because you can see right here the U.S. market just opened about 30 minutes ago, and you can see this green candle doesn't really look that interesting, right? Just that green candle there. But the volume is actually quite high during the candle. So in that sense, maybe I missed something. I mean, I can quickly take a look at the news right here. But ultimately in this video, we'll do a full update on the fundamentals. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, some other altcoins that I personally like. So we'll also do an altcoins update. I did a video this morning on the entire altcoin market cap, right? So if you're very interested in what I expect from altcoins during the summer, check out that video. But in general, I also try to make like one or two altcoin updates in the week, right? So then we're talking about altcoins in general, right? But that's still very interesting. But no, I mean, so far so good. We've had a pretty good opening, just like last week during the Asian and the European session, and that seems to be continuing here over the US session after the New York Open. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. First, let me see if... oh, yes, all right. We did get some news. Iran seeks de-escalation, signals willingness to resume nuclear talks. All right, well, that's very interesting. That's obviously making the markets go up. I think that's also reflected in other fundamentals such as gold. Yeah, gold pulling back, the S&P 500 and the S&P dropping down or going up higher. My apologies. I have to post this in my groups real quick, guys. I'm sorry, but if you join the Signal group, then you'll get data like this as soon as I can send it, right? Even if it's in the middle of these videos. But so that's good news. So the fundamentals look good. S&P 500 already looked quite good here, as you can see. But now other fundamentals with gold and the volatility index and probably also oil are dropping down. So that's good news. Now, talking about some crypto-specific news right here, we actually had Michael Saylor buying $1 billion in Bitcoin. I don't really see any effect anymore that has. It used to have an effect, not so much anymore. And we saw Tron that's going public, right? So that's the cryptocurrency project behind TRX. They're doing some sort of a reverse merger, right? So they're acquiring a company that's listed already, and that way they're going public in some sort of way. And that's also one of the reasons why Tron has been very, very strong right here. Now, I've never seen news like this. This hasn't happened, to my knowledge, something like this hasn't happened before. I think that it's more bullish than bearish, but at this point of time, would I trade a chart like this? So this is TRX. No, definitely not. But still very interesting news. So that's kind of what I think you need to know about the news. Fundamentals are stable. The Coinbase Bitcoin premium almost went into a discount, but I expect that to get into a premium again over the course of this New York Open and US session after the news that we just had. Look, Bitcoin, ultimately, we're still in range, right? So when we're talking about Bitcoin here, what I also said this morning is that the main resistance level is right here between 108,000 and 107,500. Look, maybe if we actually do see de-escalation, and maybe if we actually see the S&P 500 rally much, much higher, Bitcoin can break out. But I would say, you know, on a Monday, with the volume still being quite low, I would still say, regardless of the news, that yes, we have a chance to break out, but I would still say it's a little bit more likely we'll pull back into the tight range we had right here between 104 and 106. We'll stay in that, and then maybe from there we're able to get a bigger breakout. So I'm still being quite cautious on what I expect from Bitcoin. So with that, I'm also being quite cautious on what I expect for Ethereum and XRP. Basically, what I said this morning is still true. Ethereum has a lot of resistance above the price right now. So the news is obviously bullish, but to expect a bullish breakout like instantly, I'd say it's a little bit unlikely. I think it's more likely we'll pull back, and then if the fundamentals are still good, we can break out afterwards. XRP is a bit of a different story. XRP has been very strong over the course of today. So yeah, again, this is at resistance. So XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum look very, very similar. I think XRP has a chance to break out here, but still, I would still like to see the breakout first before I actually trade that, right? So XRP has a chance to break out, but again, I would assume that will pull back a little bit before getting a real chance to break out without those imbalances to the downsides, and hopefully with a little bit more volume. Now, talking about altcoins over the course of today, there were some altcoins that look quite strong. Hyperliquid is insanely strong, so that's very interesting. Bitcoin Cash is actually quite strong, also has a lot of volume. DeFi, look, I've talked about DeFi for the last 2 weeks, but something like Uniswap, something like Aave, something like Athena, all of those look quite good still as well. And then I would keep an eye on Tron, TRX, right? So because of the news, but also because, you know, I think in general the chart looks quite good. But that's what I think you need to know over the course of today. I mean, probably, like, there's most likely going to be other altcoins during the New York session and during the US Open here that will look interesting, but this is what I see for now, all right? And this is what you have to work with. Hopefully it's still valuable, but I'll see you on my next videos. I'll keep you updated as well. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.